Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, back in the studio after a wonderful week in Saratoga Springs in upstate New York. It's a summer vacation I take every year with my family, and it was a privilege to take you there with me. We caught some breathtaking views of Lake George on one of our hikes. It was absolutely beautiful. And speaking of lakes, yep, as promised, that's me and my wife tubing. Our Patriot professor took a turn at tubing at like 50 miles per hour until I completely wiped out there. It was such a blast. But now I'm back in the studio ready to bring you each and every day breaking news and analysis that you're not going to hear anywhere else. We have got to talk about the latest bombshell development with the Epstein files, because it does look as if President Trump is making a major pivot on all of this after a week of outrage from a very particular part of his base. And that's key. That's very important to understand here. It's not the base as a whole. It's not MAGA as a whole, but rather a very particular segment of Trump's base that was particularly outraged over what they viewed as a major cover-up and blatant betrayal by the Trump administration. It does look like the Trump administration is taking significant steps to assuage those very real concerns among parts of the base, which is itself wonderful news, not just because we'll finally expose the deep state for the blackmailing parallel government it's become. We'll talk about that in a second. But because it also demonstrates that we do indeed have a president who actually listens to his base. It's the power of the people. Again, we'll find that in a few minutes. So let's set up the context here. As I'm sure you're all quite aware of, several days back, the Trump administration dropped a bombshell that had his own supporters calling for blood. For months, Trump and his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, had promised to release what's commonly known as the Epstein files. The Epstein files are a collection of court documents, investigative materials, and records related to Jeffrey Epstein, the once high school teacher who mysteriously became a billionaire and best buddy to some of the world's most powerful and richest people, and who was eventually convicted as a sex offender who died, supposedly by suicide, in federal prison in 2019. Now, these documents have become the subject of intense public interest and political controversy, particularly regarding what they reveal, or should reveal, about Epstein's associates and activities with some of the world's most powerful and wealthy men. Trump's base has long been counting on the release of these files and the exposure of the likes of Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and a number of others in terms of their, shall we say, more dark habits and propensities, but even more importantly, to expose the way intelligence agencies all over the world have used those dark habits as a means of blackmail to get these powerful and wealthy men to comply with their international intrigue, which involves basically running the world through this rogue government that's not been elected, that's more or less dictatorial, runs the world, institutes color revolutions, regime changes, all by this rogue parallel government comprised of intelligence agencies. And that's absolutely key to get. This is not ultimately about Epstein. This is about how he was used as an asset for the deep state, for international intelligence agencies, three-letter agencies, that have empowered themselves largely through the dynamic of blackmailing the world's richest, most powerful people to get them to comply with and help enforce their rogue rule over much of the world's affairs. And the MAGA base, or again, a portion of it that's very much invested in this exposure, they were counting on Trump and Pam Bondi to faithfully release those files and expose the deep state once and for all. Dan Bongino, for example, he spent many episodes on his very successful podcast over the last several years on the importance and the need to expose these files for all to see. And by doing so, we will finally take out the deep state once and for all. They can, again, the deep state can only thrive in darkness. Once the sunlight of truth hits them, they're gone. But what happened next, frankly, shocked much of Trump's base. And for the last week, it's been basically tearing the MAGA movement apart from the inside. On July 7th, the weekend of Trump's triumphant signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill on the 4th of July, let that hit you. On that very weekend, the Justice Department released a memo that sent shockwaves through the MAGA movement. And the memo basically stated that Jeffrey Epstein did not have a client list, that no additional files would be released, none, zero, that he did indeed kill himself, that he was not blackmailing anyone, and that the case was officially closed. Move on, nothing to see here. Now, the reaction to that among, again, some in the base, those who were heavily invested in the Epstein files, was immediate and it was brutal. So we're talking, Laura Loomer, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, a number of others were absolutely livid over this. Many have been calling for Attorney General Pam Bondi to be fired for how she's handled this. Others are questioning if Trump himself is part of the cover-up. There was the Turning Point USA conference last week in Florida, where speaker after speaker after speaker got up and talked about how betrayed they were over this. And whether anyone likes it or not, it did rattle the base. There's no way around that. The MAGA coalition was jolted by this decision to close the Epstein case. Now, again, we need to stress, not everyone was jolted by this. There are many within the MAGA movement, I would argue most in the MAGA movement, that frankly don't give a rip about Epstein. Again, for right or for wrong, I'm just being descriptive here, not prescriptive. For right or for wrong, I would say most in the MAGA movement don't give a rip about Epstein. I like to call these voters deportation voters. They're the deportation side of the MAGA coalition, which is the largest part of the coalition, meaning that as long as Trump is true to securing the border and engaging these massive deportations on a daily level, as well as in bringing in manufacturing and industry back into our country, energy independence, trillions of dollars in new developments in the economy, crushing wokeness, stopping DEI, ending trans athletes in women's sports, just basically sticking it to the left like no one we've ever seen in our lifetimes. As long as he's faithful to the basic MAGA platform that I called sort of the deportation platform, right? They love him. They're perfectly happy. So I just use the term deportation wing as a symbol for those who support all the major issues of MAGA that Trump has delivered on in spades over the last nearly 6 months. But there is another part of this coalition, which I call the deep state part of the coalition. So you've got the deportation wing and you've got the deep state wing. And they are far more concerned about this parallel rogue government that has formed over the last several decades that exercises inordinate influence over the world's affairs, that is not accountable to voters, that is basically a rogue state, and Epstein represented not just sort of like, a key manifestation of that rogue state, but also its Achilles heel. In that by exposing this rogue state through the Epstein files, Trump had the capacity to finally destroy it. And as far as this crowd is concerned, if the deep state is not brought to heel, then all of this, everything we're experiencing right now in America's golden age, will ultimately have been for naught, because they are the ones who are ultimately in charge, not the people. So whether we like it or not, by failing to deliver for this side of the coalition, the Trump administration has caused a rift in the coalition. The deportation side remains very happy, but the deep state side is livid. and many are threatening to sit out of the upcoming midterms, which obviously would not be very good. What is good is that Trump is listening. He's hearing the concerns loud and clear, and it looks like he's effectively responding to heal this rift once and for all. There's something else the world's elites are trying to hide from you. While corrupt federal elites have been quietly building their wealth through cryptocurrency, they've made it so that hardworking American patriots have been left behind, squeezed out of the crypto revolution. But there's an amazing solution to that. I want to tell you about Block Trust IRA. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to real Americans. You all know I'm a huge fan of crypto. It's supercharging President Trump's America First economic miracle, and now you can be a part of it. So I've partnered with Block Trust IRA because their mission perfectly aligns with President Trump's Make America Great Again agenda, smashing down the barriers between loyal patriots and the financial freedom that you deserve. Their Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that are beyond simply the buy and hold strategy, helping true American patriots build impressive wealth in Trump's historic economic boom. There's a reason their system was named the #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine from over 1,500 global competitors. So whether you're a teacher, a truck driver, small business owner, or retiree watching inflation eat away your 401k, Block Trust IRA's advanced Animus AI gives red-blooded Americans the same advantages as those coastal elites. So right now, their clients are seeing over 250% returns on their investments. You heard that right, 250% returns. And with military-grade security, investments are protected by up to $200 million in insurance. So what are you waiting for? I've joined the revolution. Now it's your turn. Visit TurleyTalksCrypto.com and find out how they can help you join the Trump crusade, a financial revolution that's finally giving forgotten Americans access to the greatest crypto wealth opportunity in history. For a limited time, they're offering my viewers up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you open an account. Again, you heard that right, $2,500 in bonus crypto. This is amazing. Do not wait on this. Crypto created 80,000 new millionaires last year. Why not you next? Visit TurleyTalksCrypto.com. That's TurleyTalksCrypto.com, making retirement great again.
I don't know that this was top of mind for him, but he hears all the noise and he hears all of the consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that, I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later. And I guess that would be my advice. But to everybody out there who's all worked up about it, there's no great plot to keep this information away that I'm aware of. I do just believe that maybe it's been slow rolled for reasons that hopefully we understand down the line. And I think we're probably going to get more transparency on it very soon.
So that, of course, was Laura Trump on the Benny Johnson Show acknowledging what we all knew. There has not been enough transparency on this issue. And she revealed that President Trump is indeed listening to what the American people are asking and that we should expect more coming on this in the days and weeks ahead. Benny followed up that interview with this tweet, quote, "Just got off the phone with top federal law enforcement contact. The change in approach to Epstein has been dramatic. Expect more disclosures. Some very powerful people inside the administration are now pushing for a special counsel and a full press briefing on Epstein findings. Important to note, this drastic change happened after Charlie Kirk and a number of other powerful MAGA voices pushed back on the handling of the Epstein case this weekend at the Turning Point Conference. They were met with massive roars and applause from the 7,000 gathered that could not be ignored. In short, our voices are being heard. Power to the people." So it does appear that Trump is pivoting on this issue in such a way that is going to appease the very real concerns among those in his base that are most concerned about the deep state and its rogue activities both inside and outside our nation. Now, there are a couple of theories as to why the Trump administration is covering up the whole Epstein saga. One theory is that the revelation of depths of depravity that the intelligence agencies around the world have gone to, and they're blackmailing world leaders, even their own agents. Those depths of depravity are so heinous that would actually have national security implications. And we've talked about this. What a lot of people don't know is that the CIA has a long history, unfortunately, of multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside the agency. There have been documented cases where intelligence agents or individuals employed by the United States intelligence agencies have indeed been convicted of child porno offenses. I won't obviously get into the sordid details, but the key here is we frankly don't know if these people were actually perpetrators of this stuff or if intelligence agencies were using or are using this stuff, putting this stuff in their computers in order to crush them. Journalist Nick Bryant, he was actually just talking about this. He's arguing that a huge part of our political system is predicated on blackmail, and that's where Epstein comes into all of this. He was basically an extension of this very dark, malignant corner of the intelligence agencies that's using blackmail against our politicians and other people. And the whole Epstein saga involves that very dark reality actually kind of coming to the fore, spiraling out of their control for everyone to see and be horrified by. So one theory is that the Trump administration is just trying to keep the lid on things, ultimately for national security issues. He knows what's going on. He's in charge of it, and he's taking care of things, but he cannot allow this to be made public. Another view is that Trump is actually using the Epstein files to his advantage. So he's keeping both Democrats and Rhino Republicans in check by conditionally closing the case. But the moment that they get out of line and thwarting his MAGA agenda, he's going to release them. So ironically, this theory argues that Trump is actually continuing the blackmail, but now we're in charge. We're the ones, the MAGA coalition, we're the ones who are holding all the cards, as it were. Either way, it does look as if Trump is responding to the rather vocal mutiny that we've seen among those in the base who are deeply concerned about the deep state and bringing the deep state to finally heal. All Trump has to do is assuage those concerns, and the MAGA coalition should be as good as new, and that is exactly what he appears to be doing right now. We're in it, gang. A historic shift is unfolding all around us. The fall of globalism, the rise of a new conservative age, and I explain exactly what's happening and why in my most important book yet, America Awaken. This book gives you the full picture, how we got here, what it means, and what you need to know to be on the right side of history. Do not wait. Go to americaawaken.us and order your copy today. The next chapter has already begun.